Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, November 16th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and Ryan Robinson in the house. A huge Saturday slate as usual. Looks like 12 games, even dozen games on the slate today. So looking forward to talking about each and every one of them. Briefly, we'll look back, though, on Friday's action. A very good Friday night from a betting standpoint for me. It started with Pittsburgh and Columbus. The over by Fecta, to me, was the clear choice in that game, and it won pretty handily with both the first period over and the full game over. Just another shit show defensively for the Pittsburgh Penguins yet again. Tristan Jarry, not up to the task. I don't think he was great, but really he was hung out to dry by the team in front of him. It's typical of what the Penguins have done pretty much all season long. And Columbus, struggling mightily, uses the Pittsburgh Penguins as the springboard to get right and get well again as they take care of business with a 6-2 win over Pittsburgh last night. It's getting close to rock bottom time for the Penguins. You see some of these losses lately. Dallas getting blown out. Detroit ends up beating them in Pittsburgh the other night, and then this 6-2 loss to the struggling Columbus Blue Jackets, coming off a long road trip too. And they just absolutely put the boots to Pittsburgh last night in that game. Rumblings that there could be a fire sale. There could be some trades coming down the pipe for Kyle Dubas, and changes on the way. We'll see if that is indeed the case moving forward. But obviously another dreadful defensive night for the Pittsburgh Penguins in that game. We saw the Vegas and Utah Hockey Club. What a game this was. My goodness, Utah getting the fast start, but Vegas battling back, tying it up. And then for those of you that had either Vegas in regulation and or Vegas team total over 3.5, you're thinking, wow, 2-2 late in the third. We're not going to cash either. Well, if you had a piece of both, and I did grab a little team total, we get the 3-2 goal with about a minute and change left and then empty net magic after that to make it 4-2 for the Vegas Golden Knights. A heck of a win for them. Tough pill to swallow for Utah in that game, falling short. But Vegas, you knew they were not going to lay down with it being the dad's trip on the road there. And sure enough, they got the job done with the victory there over the Utah Hockey Club. And then my best bet, this is a sign now. I'm a believer in Spencer Carberry. I really, truly am as an NHL head coach. He was not happy. He was about as livid as I've ever seen him after the loss to Toronto, saying, we played dumb hockey with the lead. Bad defensive breakdowns, not pressing the issue, not trying to, add to the lead, letting Toronto, basically come after us in waves. And eventually it led to the 3-1 lead disappearing. Washington let Toronto tie it, and then Toronto won in overtime. What a response by the Capitals. They responded to their head coach the right way. They played a very sound, solid road game last night against a Colorado team that pretty much had almost their entire team back. Well, they still have Colton and they still have Wood out of the lineup, but they get Big Val Nichushkin back. They get Jonathan Drouin back. No problem, though, for the Capitals. A very good 5-2 win on the road last night against Colorado, who were starting to play good hockey. But I did warn you on the show, and it's why I like Washington even more. You take players out of the lineup, key players. Sometimes you step up and win without them. When you bring them back for that first game, sometimes you fall short and you fall flat. And that's exactly what we saw last night. What a defensive game. I mean, this is the game Washington was looking for. 20-19 shots on goal. They held Colorado below 20 shots on goal on home ice, which doesn't happen very often. Connor McMichael, red hot, 2 goals for the Capitals. Lindgren solid in net. And Justus Annunen starting to falter a little bit, declined just a little bit after that red hot start he had in the first few outings. So it was great to see that come through. Plus 155. Great price with Washington as an underdog winner there with the 5-2 win over the Colorado Avalanche is my best bet. And then in the late night hours, my gosh, if you're Detroit, how did you let that game slip through your fingers? You were in great shape. You were really seizing control of the game, up by a score of 3-1 early in the second period, including a bargain bin special winner for me with Jonathan Berggren Talked about how he got his first goal of the season against Pittsburgh. That can give you confidence and maybe get you the floodgates start to open and you're not gripping the stick as much. And sure enough, now back-to-back games with a goal for him, his first 2 goals of the season, power play goal for him last night. But then Anaheim started to take control. They outshot Detroit 15-8, outshot Detroit in the third period, and it just snowballed against Detroit. Zegras' late power play goal to make it 3-2 late in the second period really gave the Ducks some momentum going into the third, and boy, did they respond. 3 consecutive goals to turn a 3-2 deficit into a 5-3 lead, including the first NHL goal finally at long last for Cutter Gauthier last night, getting his first NHL goal. And then it was 5-4 to Brinkett, made it close again, and then Ryan Strome puts it away into the empty net, 6-4 Anaheim. We split in that game. Thought we were going to go 2-0 because Detroit looked like it was they were going to get the job done, but they obviously blow the 3-1 lead. They lose 6-4. That's a bad loss for Detroit. It really is. Obviously, it was not Alex Lyon's better game. He was a surprise starter last night for not really surprised because they played tonight against Los Angeles, and they were saving Talbot for this game against his old team tonight. But Lyon, not one of his better games. They didn't really help him out too much. You should have won that game. They didn't, but the over does cash, so we go 1-1 with that game. Alex, your thoughts on a very interesting Friday night?
Yeah, this is a weekend where I think we're really starting to see some teams kind of settle out to be who they are. And there's some spots that will suggest that tonight. But definitely as far as last night with Pittsburgh, I took that shot with the first period stack, thinking that, okay, after getting beat down by Dallas, and Dallas is a quality team, you come out and play with a much more spirited effort early against the rival, against the team that you've dominated over the years, and they just looked absolutely lifeless. Like the carryover from the beatdown was something I was not expecting, and they looked just as dead in the first period of that game against Columbus like they did the 3 periods, I should say, against Dallas. That's not good. And now, like you said, this team, where they're sitting in the standings, and now Dubas is talking about making some moves and they're selling off pieces. This could be the beginning of that end that we talked about for quite a while now. And how do you go about, if you're selling and you're Kyle Dubas and you're the Penguins, how do you actually go about doing this, right? Because you're not trading Sidney Crosby, you're not trading Erik Karlsson, you're not trading Chris Letang, right? So what pieces are you actually selling off here? Because you don't have enough depth. That's why you're in the spot you're in. You don't really have anything to sell other than your top pieces. And God, if you move your top pieces, you're gonna have a half empty barn and an AHL team on the ice, really fast. So it's a bad spot for Pittsburgh, and I just think this is a bad hockey team at this point. There'll be spots to bet on them, of course, over the next several months. But this team is who they are, who we think they are. And to say that in the inverse, looking at a team like Washington, this is a good hockey team. And like you said, they're well coached. Carberry has this team playing in a direction where they're outplaying where they're supposed to be. Obviously, like I said, this is not the most talented group even in that division. But if you've got everybody playing with the enthusiasm and the effort, you've got a guy like Alex Ovechkin who at any given night can step up and give you that highlight goal. And he's a crowd guy too, right? What he does at home is more valuable at this point than what he does on the road. Okay, when he scores and gets the crowd fired up, that just gives a little bit more energy. It means a little bit more when number 8 scores than when anybody else in a Caps uniform scores. But the fact that you have other players chipping in now, you're getting quality goaltending. You're beating teams like Colorado on the road, a spot where 2-3 years ago, that's a spot they would have struggled against. Even with a bad Colorado team, which I don't think this Colorado team's any good, Washington would have struggled in that spot. So to win those games and to come back off of bad efforts, respond to your coach getting in your ass, that's a good thing. And so that's a good spot. And like I said, conversely with Colorado, another bad loss, and this is just the middle of the road hockey team. Middle of the road trending toward bad. I think that even when they do get, Val back into rotation, when they get everybody healthy, I still don't think this team is going to be the Colorado we've seen the last 2 years. I don't think they're going to be able to hang around with what we're seeing from Winnipeg. I don't think they're going to be able to hang around with Dallas. I don't think they're going to be able to hang around with the top teams in the Pacific out of that West. So Colorado, Pittsburgh are in serious trouble, but Washington's in a good spot. And that's a team that we have to continue to roll with, especially when we're getting plus prices. That's not going to be happening too much longer if they continue to play this way.
I think they can hang around and be very, very good offensively, Colorado, especially with Nichushkin and Drouin back, and they're going to get Colton Wood back. But defensively, and it's still the goaltending, man. Last night, another one of their goalies, and it doesn't matter who anymore, between Onanen and Georgiev and Kokkonen when we saw him for that one game. Not good enough in between the pipes, and that's just a killer, if you hope to be a contender. And that continues to be an issue right now for the Colorado Avalanche. Joe Sakic is going to have to address this. I don't have confidence at the moment in any of the three goaltenders on that roster to be a big-time goalie for me in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I just don't. Simple.
Right. Yeah. If they want to try and be even a playoff team at this point, you have to go out and get a goaltender. Plain and simple. Yeah. Whatever you have to do to make that happen, you get it done. If it means moving Georgiev, if it means moving Onanen, if it means moving another, important player within your lineup, you got to do it. Otherwise, you're looking at you're gonna put yourself in a hole where you're not gonna make the playoffs, but you're also not even gonna be a lottery team. You're gonna be just right in the middle of mediocrity, and you won't be able to improve or do anything else moving forward. You'll just have to wait for guys to move on and make changes organically. And like I said, goaltending depth wise, they don't even have any. They're not Detroit. Detroit was able to make moves and get a Lyon and get Cam Talbot and throw shit at the wall because they have two quality prospects waiting in the wings. That's not what Colorado has. So Colorado's got to go out and do something goaltending wise soon if they think that they have a chance. And even if they get in the playoffs, I don't even think they have a chance to do anything in the playoffs. But that's obviously down the line. As of now, make a move.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out here for sure for this Colorado team moving. I like them offensively, getting healthier. I'm totally on board with all of that. But my goodness, as far as that goaltending, there's issues. Ryan, what thoughts did you have on the games from last night?
Not a ton. I did have a good night. Went 2 for 2. I was on that Pittsburgh Columbus first period over, and then as well TLD Washington best bet. I thought Colorado might be a little lackluster with the new pieces coming back. Just kind of finding that chemistry again. But yeah, not a lot. I popped in a few of the games, and I'm definitely more excited for tonight's card. I think there's a lot more variety and big schedule, so I'm definitely excited for that.
Yeah, I've actually been promoting that book for John. So I do know him, yes, but it's actually a good book if you have crypto. Not everyone does, but it's a great book. I recommend it. Yes, bitwallet.bet is very good. If you have access to cryptocurrency accounts, there's no doubt. Check it out. Great stuff. Live same-game parlay betting is really cool about it as well. All right, let's get into the Saturday slate. It is a big one here on tap. We've got St. Louis and Boston to get things going. There's 2 afternoon games taking place here in the NHL, starting with the Blues and the Bruins. We've got Boston minus 190, minus 200. I mean, even in some spots, huge favorites here in this game. Total 5.5. This is a rematch. Remember, these teams played in St. Louis earlier this week. The Blues had a great first 2 periods. Boston couldn't get out of their own way. Boston was legitimately horrendous in the first 2 periods in St. Louis earlier this week. And then all of a sudden, something was said in the second intermission, because all of a sudden it was a big period, especially from Marchand, Pasternak, the leadership core. They did step up. 3 unanswered goals to turn that into a 3-2 win for Boston over the St. Louis Blues. It'll be interesting to see if St. Louis can exact some redemption, because they were really, really upset with losing that game. But here's the problem with St. Louis. You blow that game against Boston, you have a chance to step up and rebound against Buffalo, and you have a lead in that game as well. And once again, you can't hold it, and you lose again. So at some point, it's just resigning yourself to Blues have problems holding leads. Blues are having issues with their confidence at the moment. Blues are having issues finding ways to win. Boston now coming off the debacle against Dallas. They were obviously unable to follow up that comeback win. We were thinking maybe that comeback win against the Blues is able to get Boston going, get them on a run, and they get absolutely just smacked, ambushed by the Dallas Stars the other night. So they will look for a bounce back here in this game. We have Jordan Binnington in net for St. Louis. Jeremy Swayman projected. That being said, he struggled. He had a tough night against that. Does maybe Jim Montgomery say, Jonas Korpisalo, you get the start here for this afternoon game? So this is definitely something to keep an eye on. I mean, at this price, I could only take St. Louis, but they're not that much better right now than the Boston Bruins at this point. You would think now 5.5. I was tempted by the over. I lean Blues. I lean draw in this game as well. We almost had the draw in St. Louis between these teams earlier this week, and it was a late regulation goal that gave Boston the win. But I do lean a little bit to this draw in this game more than anything. Lean over as well, but don't love it. John Massey, first period, both teams to score. Both teams with something to prove. I could see it. Maybe both getting on the board in the opening period. You're going to get a good plus price with that as well at FanDuel. I'm even seeing close to plus 200 with that. So, like I said, really, really good price with the both teams to score there in this game. That's definitely something I think that could be worth a look. I prefer vote first period, probably both teams to score than touching the totals because you never know with Boston coming off the shellacking and giving up the touchdown of goals, if you will, against Dallas, maybe looking to tighten things up. So that first period, both teams to score is a pretty good price, plus 188 right now at FanDuel for that. So I'm kind of interested in that for a small bet, but there's nothing super strong for me here coming out of this game. But at this price, it's St. Louis or pass for me. Alex, what do you think here? Blues, Bruins.
Yeah, that both teams to score is high for a reason, and we're seeing $1.16 with that first period over. With a day game with these two teams, I don't like those spots. If this was a 7:00 start, I would be all over the over trifecta in this. But I think with an early start, Boston, they're used to playing these early games a little bit more than St. Louis. And like you said, having maybe an onus to try to tighten things up a little bit, I can see where this may be a low and slow start to the contest. So I would maybe look for totals in game. I have nothing pregame on this spot. This game's a complete pass for me. I don't even like the draw on this one. So if I look for anything, it'll be in game.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's a tough game. But like I said, you're not going to see – I don't want no part of Boston, clearly, at this price. It's Blues or nothing, but, Blues aren't playing a whole lot better, like I said, at the moment. I lean Blues, I lean draw. Don't love either. What do you think here, Ryan? St. Louis, Boston.
Yeah, I don't love anything either. I think of the 12 games, there's 2, maybe 3 that I think I'm going to pass on. This is a definite pass for me. The only thing I'm going to be looking at live is if, like Alex said, since it's a day game, if it starts off slow, 0-0 first period or something like that, I might look at the second period live over. If we get 2 or 3 minutes into that second period and there's not a goal yet, just because games usually open up in the second after kind of a slow start. So that's what I'll look at live. But in terms of sides and totals, I'm just going to pass on this one.
All right, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, the second afternoon game on this Saturday, it's the lone other afternoon game, the New York Islanders and the Seattle Kraken. We've got pretty much even money both sides here, minus 110, the total 5.5 shaded to the over here in this game. As far as this matchup is concerned, the Islanders off a pretty good victory, actually. They played well. Now, as we heard yesterday, and as we talked about in the recap yesterday, Vancouver was pretty awful in that game too. But you got to give the New York Islanders credit, 5-2 win over the Vancouver Canucks, snapping a 2-game losing streak going into it as this road trip continues. They have 2 more games on the road trip after this. They go to Calgary on Tuesday, and then they play in Detroit on Thursday before going home next Saturday. Meanwhile, Seattle, 3-0 on this homestand with wins against Vegas, Columbus, and Chicago. We'll see if they can keep it rolling. This is the 4th game of the homestand. They have 2 more after this against the Rangers and the Predators. So what's the difference for Seattle? Well, the difference is the goals are starting to go in. And all of a sudden, you're starting to see, the guys they count on to put the puck in the net starting to produce. Matty Beniers has been good. McCann's, starting to heat up again. You're starting to see the power play for Seattle get going, which was cold during the slump and those back-to-back shutout losses. They've now gotten a power play goal in 3 of the last 4 games. And that's a good sign for the Kraken because the Islanders' penalty kill once again this year has been terrible. Talked about how bad it was in the Lane Lambert era before he got canned. Well, in the last 10 games, the Islanders have given up at least 1 power play goal in 8 of the last 10 games. So that's not exactly what you want to see here going into this game. I like Seattle. I think it's dirt cheap. They're playing well here on this homestand. I like the Kraken minus 110. And I think once again with the Islanders, right now their totals, if you're going to give me these totals with their games at 5.5, it's too low. So I like over 5.5 here, minus 115. Seattle's heating up, starting to score goals again. 3+ goals in 4 straight games, 3-1 to the over. The New York Islanders on a 6-0-1 streak to the over in their last 7 games. 5.5's too low right now. And they're, remember, beaten up on the blue line. Multiple cluster injuries on the back end for the Islanders. Romanov, Pelech, Mike Riley still dealing with injuries on that back end as well for the Islanders. So, yeah, 5.5's too low right now, in my opinion. It was a best bet. Islanders Canucks over 5.5 on Thursday. It's in the contention, I should say, to be a best bet for the show today as well. Islanders Kraken over 5.5. Alex, what do you think here? Isles Kraken.
Yeah, small looks on the over by effect of, like I said, a little bit more on that full game with the over 5.5. That's a bit short of a number. And also taking a sprinkle with the correct score, 60-minute correct score, 3-3 plus 1,300, because I do like the draw here in this spot with the Islanders involved. Seattle's been playing some close games. Definitely feel like this could go past 60 minutes. So correct score, 3-3, 13-1, along with the draw, plus I got plus 330. And then also some sprinkles on the first period and full game overs.
Stayed off the draw. I'm glad I did against Vancouver. You're right. I might dabble in it today because I think it is pretty close. Seattle, I could see this being a close one. Seattle's had the propensity at times to play, especially at home. Early in the season, they played a few overtime games. So maybe the Islanders get a draw out of the Seattle Kraken here in this one. By the way, no Jordan Eberle. He's out for the Seattle Kraken for at least the next 2 games due to injury. Which means there's going to be some shuffling going on. Someone's going to get that spot with Beniers and McCann filling Eberle's spot, and that guy is Andrei Burakovsky for the Seattle Kraken. So there's your value prop right there. Burakovsky moving up to that top line to play alongside Beniers and McCann. So probably some good value there for Burakovsky for Seattle today. Ryan, what do you think here? Islanders Kraken.
Yeah, another game I don't really love. I'm going to be on that over 5.5. And then looking at Burakovsky, over half a point is plus 155. That's pretty good value. As you mentioned, he'll get more ice time and more opportunity with those top guys. So I might take a sprinkle on that as well, just given that, he's going to get more opportunities and will want to make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly. So Sorokin and net, we talked about it though. Sorokin up and down kind of again this year. And we will once again see if he can get things back on track. Joey Decord expected to be in net, although it hasn't been confirmed yet with Joey Decord as far as his participation in this game as the starting goalie. All right, next up, it is the Hockey Night in Canada featured matchup tonight. The Edmonton Oilers taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Edmonton minus 140, road favorites, 6 the total. We were expecting Austin Matthews' return for this game tonight, but it has been delayed. He will not make his return for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. So the McDavid versus Matthews, don't have to hear that shit, which is actually, I'm thankful for that. It's good. The Edmonton Oilers versus the Toronto Maple Leafs at the end of the day, not McDavid versus Matthews. And it definitely won't be McDavid versus Matthews tonight because Austin Matthews isn't even fucking playing. So I don't have to hear that anymore. But as far as this game goes, Edmonton found a way to win, obviously, against the New York Islanders and the Nashville Predators in each of their last 2 games. We'll see how this one plays out. This one has the makings. Now, this hasn't been the same dominant overtime-bound team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, that they were under Sheldon Keefe last year, where they were one of the better overtime teams in the NHL. They've only gone 3 of their last 10 games beyond regulation, but they did go to OT against Washington in that comeback in that game. And I think this game's probably got a chance maybe to go to overtime. I could see it being close. Certainly Edmonton coming off games with a back-to-back went to OT. So the draw, this is a draw I'm interested in here with the Oilers and the Leafs here tonight. You look at head-to-head matchups between these teams. Toronto has actually done a pretty good job here hosting the Oilers. They've won 3 straight here at Scotiabank Arena against the Oilers with 4-2, 7-4, and 6-3 victories. We'll see if they can keep that going here. They're going to like the way they played against Washington. I know they had that listless performance. I'm still kind of surprised by it, the way they played against Ottawa earlier in the week, but certainly had a great concerted effort the very next game. You would think with Edmonton coming to town and it being Hockey Night in Canada, you would see a great effort. That being said, Edmonton's been a good road team, 5-2. Toronto's been a good home team, 7-3. So for me, it's difficult from a side perspective in this game. I'm a little surprised that Edmonton is minus 140, though. So from a value standpoint, I think there is some on Toronto. Not running to bet the Leafs in this spot, but I think from a value spectrum perspective, there is some on Toronto at plus 120. I lean that way, but I like the draw more. I think we got a chance for OT here tonight. Alex, what do you think? Oilers, Leafs.
Yeah, I mean a small bet on Leafs plus 120, but a bigger bet on Leafs Oilers draw plus 360. Like I said, and it was kind of interesting. I was happy to hear that Matthews wasn't going to be back in the lineup. We've talked about how Toronto, this team has played better, arguably without number 34 in the lineup. So I was hoping that if I had made that bet and he comes back in, all of a sudden we talk about it, chemistry may be off a little bit, and that gives Edmonton kind of a little bit of wiggle room. But I think plus 360. So this could be one of those games. I don't know. As far as total goes, naturally we just kind of assume that this could be a higher scoring game because we know how the potential of these two offenses can be. But at the same time, looking at the goalies, especially with Stolarz, with Toronto, he's been very solid. This could easily be one of those 2-2 games. So no correct scoring, kind of guess like that, nothing on the total. Just the draw plus 360 along with a little sprinkle on Leafs plus 120.
All right, I agree. It would be Leafs and draw for me. I'm a little more bullish on the draw in this game with the Oilers and the Leafs. And the total's tough. I mean, I know a couple of the games in Toronto have gone over, but you've got Skinner in net for Edmonton. He's been pretty good in his last few starts. And Anthony Stolarz is expected to get the nod for the Leafs, and he's just been terrific all season long. So I don't think it's a given. I agree. I don't think it's a given this game goes over the total, even though you think that when you think Oilers-Leafs. This is an Oilers team that's kind of dug in defensively the last few games. It's also a Toronto team that under Craig Berube, all season's been attention to detail, back checking, being good, playing with structure, all those Berube buzzwords, and they're trying to play that way on a nightly basis. Ryan, what do you think here, Edmonton, Toronto?
Yeah, I think there's definitely value with Toronto plus 120. I think I'm going to take a small shot on them, but I'm on that first period over. Alex mentioned it, but the teams with the potential they have offensively, I think there's a good chance that could see some offense early on, especially with the talent that they have. I'm seeing a minus 135 right now for that first period over, so I think that's what I like the most out of this game. But just excited to watch this from a fan's perspective. With even if Matthews is out, all the firepower that's still in the game, I think it's going to be back and forth a little bit. Could be high scoring, could also be 3-1. So I do see value in Toronto. I'm still going back and forth if I want to take a small shot on them. Plus 120 at home. The Oilers coming in, it's going to be a great Hockey Night in Canada matchup. So yeah, I'm on that first period over, and then I'm leaning Leafs, but I'm kind of back and forth.
There's a prop I do like for Toronto. I think there's value still. Bobby McMahon, because he's up on the second line for the Leafs here. Continues to be Matthew Nyes, we've talked about as well. But there's one on the Edmonton Oilers because Victor Arvidsson's out. Chris Knobloch's keeping the Nuge, McDavid, and Hyman together. But taking Arvidsson's spot on the second line with Draisaitl is the old man, Corey Perry, who is playing in Hockey Night in Canada. He actually scored in Vancouver last Saturday on a Hockey Night in Canada game, Corey Perry. He has consistently burned Toronto in the past. How many times has he scored against the Leafs in the past, whether he's played with Tampa or whether he's played with Montreal? I think Corey Perry's a good look tonight. Second line for Edmonton.
Wait, that's switched. I'm looking at a update on a left wing lock. Troy Stetcher's slated now to be in the second line. Perry switching back to the fourth. Yeah.
Oh boy, so we got conflict because RotoWire says Perry's on the second line. Stetcher's a defenseman, though. Are they going to use him as forward?
That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this even straight line changes on left wing law. It's the top thing. I literally was just clicking on this link to look for something and seeing that.
We'll have to confirm that. What I would say is bet both then for small bets, because I'm just shocked because Stetcher's a defenseman. Like they're just experimenting with him at forward, or is that a typo?
Maybe it's a typo, but that's
on that.
Yeah. So
I'll have to do some digging on that. But either way, whoever's going to be in that spot with Draisaitl, I think there's value. If it's Perry, bet Perry. If it's Stetcher, you're going to get, as of right now, plus 1,200 on him to score a goal in this game. So, I'm going to do some checking into that and see exactly what kind of what the accurate second line is going to be for the Edmonton Oilers. Maybe it is Stetcher, but I'm just surprised because you're basically turning a defenseman into a forward if you're going to put him up there on the second line for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. But we'll definitely check that. We got some time. It's a long show, so we'll have some time to confirm that, hopefully, before the end of the show. All right, Columbus and Montreal. Got the Montreal Canadiens minus 115 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Back-to-back situation for Columbus. Here we go again with the schedule makers just completely demoralizing a team as far as travel. They just got back from this long-ass road trip out west, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and now here they are, one game at home against Pittsburgh last night, that 6-2 win. Now back on the road on a back-to-back tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. Not exactly advantageous by far. Habs have dominated the Columbus Blue Jackets. That is something that I certainly took note of. They have definitely had the better of this series history. Montreal has won 5 straight versus Columbus. 3 straight wins here at Bell Center in Montreal over the Blue Jackets. Schedule advantage in their favor. We'll see how this goes. Danil Tarasov in net for Columbus. Sam Montembeault getting the start for Montreal. Montreal's been struggling, clearly. We know that. Maybe people see Columbus now. They get the win. They're going to get a bump from it. Play well again tonight, despite the back-to-back. Montreal just 1-7 in their last 8 games, coming off a 4-game road trip. But now with the price being where it is, I could only look at Montreal at this price now, minus 115. Given their dominance over Columbus. What do you think here, Alex? Blue Jackets, Habs.
Yeah, I'm taking a shot with them over by factor here in this going first period over, and I grabbed this price is starting to move, and I don't know where my pages are, but I grabbed this a little bit earlier. I grabbed the 138 at FanDuel. So if you see anything 145s or higher, I was just wait and grab that in game. Same thing with the first period over, or full game over, I should say. 6.5. I wouldn't lay anything higher than 110. If you're seeing 115 to 120s float around, definitely wait for that number to come down in game. But that's just what I'm rolling with here. Just expecting goals back and forth. Both goaltenders, I can see where it could be a little bit shaky of a battle. This draw, I would maybe sprinkle on, but it's certainly not one of my favorites on looks of the night.
Addison, my gosh, thank you for mentioning that. You're right. I was almost going to get through this whole game not even mentioning that it was the system play. Yes, Montreal off the shutout loss to Minnesota the other night. Yeah, first period. I was leaning that. Forget the system, forget the shutout loss angle. I was interested in the over by Fecta anyway, with the way these two teams are going right now. Columbus has given up goals. Montreal is giving up goals. We don't trust Tarasov or Montembeault right now. Tarasov's got like an 885 save percentage, 3.7 goals against average. So even without the angle of the shutout loss, I think the overs made a lot of sense in this game as it is. Now you tack on Montreal off the shutout loss and our system play, in effect, yeah, first period over, full game over for sure. And probably a smaller bet for me on Montreal as well. Ryan, what do you think here? Blue Jackets, Canadiens.
Yeah, I like that first period over. I'm also on Montreal. Got them at minus 110 last night, especially after Columbus got beat. And they'll be on the second night of a back-to-back. As you mentioned, the Canadiens are 5-0 in their last 5 games against Columbus. It's kind of been a one-sided series. So yeah, I like Montreal money line. I like that first period over. I also am looking at maybe some team totals. I know Montreal hasn't, filled the back of the net lately, but in Columbus, three of their last losses, they've given up 5 goals, 4 goals, and 5 goals. So they're definitely susceptible to, not being as tight in the defensive zone. And I think on the second night of a back-to-back, they might be a little sloppy, might be a little tired. So I think this is a really good spot for Montreal. So I'm on Montreal money line. That first period over, and then possibly a small shot on over 3.5 team total Montreal.
Yeah, I think definitely it is a big situational advantage for Montreal, and they're coming off a shutout loss. You would think Montreal is coming to play tonight. Now, are they good enough is the question, but yeah, it's crazy. Cuban Wayne Gretzky's right. Matthew Olivier has been a crazy surprise offensive producer here for the Jackets. We think of him for his fighting abilities and his pugilistic skills, but boy, oh boy, his prowess scoring goals has suddenly started to percolate for Columbus to everybody's surprise. So it's going to be interesting to see, again, if they can continue to get that kind of production from him. But like I said, I think it's a situation where Montreal's got the advantage. I think the first period and full game over are worth a look. And then for player props, what about Sean Monahan against his old team? Hard to turn that down. We're starting to see Adam Fantilli as well, picking things up a little bit. He's gotten 3 points in the last 5 games, but Sean Monahan back in Montreal. I think that one makes a lot of sense here tonight as far as a prop for the Montreal for the Columbus Blue Jackets here in this game tonight. All right, next up as we continue along here, we've got okay, somehow we lost our odds screen. Give me one sec. We'll get that rectified. All right, we got Buffalo and Philadelphia next up. Sabres and Flyers, even money, -110, both sides, total 6 in this game. What a comeback by the Flyers. I mean, they were down 4-2 to Ottawa. Ottawa was playing good hockey. You didn't really have a strong feel that the Flyers had a comeback win in them. But boy, they showed it. What a job by them to come back. Matvei Mishkov getting the overtime winner against the Ottawa Senators the other night. It'll be Devin Levi in net for the Sabres, who are still without Tage Thompson. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen still out, as well as Jordan Greenway. So a couple injuries here for Buffalo. Sean Couturier, captain for the Philadelphia Flyers. Game time decision with a lower body injury. He didn't play against Ottawa, but they did win without him. We'll see if he's back tonight for the Flyers in this game. Samuel Ersson remains out, which means Ivan Fedotov remains in as the starting goalie for the Philadelphia Flyers. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would look over the total here with the Sabres and the Flyers. Fedotov is an over goalie until I see, leaps and bounds of improvement. Now, I will give him some credit. He made some key saves when it was 4-2 Ottawa the other night and gave Philly a chance to come back. And has he improved a little bit, probably since the first couple starts? Yeah, I would say so, but I got to see more. The overall numbers still aren't great. Buffalo, we know, has kind of come undone a little bit defensively. Devin Levi, man, I still think there's a potential down the road. He could be something, but he's having a tough time. 3.87 goals against, 870 save percentage right now for the Buffalo Sabres. They did win against St. Louis when he was in net, but he did give up 3 goals in that game. So, not the greatest of numbers. And as I said, with Fedotov, 3.99 goals against, 862 save percentage for him. And he still gave up 4 goals to the Ottawa Senators the other night, even though they won that game. So, yeah, I mean, Sabres and Flyers over the total. And the Philly, it's just funny to see. And if I'm looking at the Fedotov game log this year for Philadelphia, I'm looking at the scores when he's been in net. 5-4, 6-3, 6-4, 6-3 were the final scores. There was one game that stayed under, and it was at Tampa Bay when he actually, I think, played his best game and they beat the Lightning 2-1. It's the only game with Fedotov in net that has stayed under the total for this Flyers team since when he's been in between the pipes. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to roll with here, over 6 with the Sabres and the Flyers. I'd lean Sabres, but no, not enough to bet it. And I was impressed by the moxie and the fight shown by the Flyers the other night in that comeback against the Sens. So that keeps me off the Sabres, just the over for me. Alex, Sabres, Flyers.
Yeah, I'll be looking at the first period and full game overs in game. I think we can get a 5.5. I think we can get a better number with that over 1.5 in the contest. But also going with the draw plus 350. It's not one of my favorite looks, but we just have to ride this 4 straight games past regulation for Philly. So anything at 350, that's a number that would, if they hit the draw again, we may not even see anywhere north of plus 300. So definitely grabbing a little bit of that in pocket, along with, like I said, in-game looks for both the first period and full game overs.
Yeah, here comes the Blues money and the over money in the game against Boston, because Jonas Korpisalo has been announced as the goaltender for the. Is there really that much of a difference though right now between him and Swayman? Because Swayman struggled. I know Korpisalo is inconsistent, but clearly, I don't think as of now, as far as current form is concerned, there's a huge drop off.
It's not
to Korpisalo. I think there's still a little drop off, but with Swayman's form last year to Korpisalo, big drop off. Swayman's form this year to Korpisalo, marginal drop off. That's the way I see it.
I have a 20-cent difference between the two goalies. So Korpisalo 20 cents worse.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So
I don't know. I think it's just it's the first game of the day. Everyone wants to get involved. I feel I don't really want it with that Blues and Bruins game. What do you think here, Ryan, with Buffalo, Philadelphia?
Yeah, I was kind of playing with some team totals. With Fedotov playing for Philly, I kind of looked at Buffalo over 2.5 -160 or -3.5, or over 3.5 plus 145. Buffalo hasn't been great defensively. They had that 7-6 game the other night or whatever it was, high scoring. So I'm going to stay off this in terms of sides, but that might be a look. And I also might take the first period over. Actually, like Alex mentioned in game, if you get 2-3 minutes in the period, it's going to move pretty quick. So I think there could be some potential for goals. That over 6 kind of enticed me, but I think I'm going to stay off of it. So I'm just going to look for that first period live and then possibly take Buffalo team total.
Yeah, you got it right there, Cuban Wayne Gretzky, 100%. Benson, get me a goal. There you go. Zach Benson for the Buffalo. He got me a goal the other night against St. Louis. He's heating up now. Definitely liking the way he has been trending right now offensively for this team. So good to see that for sure. And like I said, Zach Benson, definitely my favorite goal prop for the Sabres. Mishkov, I'll tell you what, why John Tortorella, he can push the right button still, even after all these years. Benches Mishkov. Mishkov gets the game winner the other night against the Ottawa Senators. So tells you all you need to know. He can still push those buttons. Bench a guy and the guy responds and plays. Doesn't mope, doesn't sulk. Comes back into the lineup, makes an impact like Mishkov did. Obviously against the Ottawa Senators, getting that overtime winner earlier this week. All right, next up we continue along. It is San Jose and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh minus 210 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Sometimes you got to go swimming with the Sharks, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. Pittsburgh minus 210. Get that bullshit out of here. Are you shitting me that they're minus 210 against anybody right now? I mean, holy fuck. They shouldn't be minus 210 against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins right now, this Pittsburgh team. It's just a disaster. They're on a back-to-back as well, so it's a little bit of a scheduling advantage for San Jose. And San Jose's fighting the good fight right now as well on this road trip. They shut out New Jersey, gave the Rangers one hell of a game earlier this week, only lost 3-2. And really what you're seeing from this Ryan Warsofsky coach Sharks team is solid work ethic on a nightly basis. They make mistakes, yes. Are they going to have their rough nights? Yes. But on this road trip, they beat New Jersey. They lose in a shootout to the Flyers, but they come back from a deficit to force that shootout. The 3-2 loss to the Rangers, and the Rangers were coming to play that night after losing to Winnipeg. So I've been very impressed here with the effort from San Jose. I know Pittsburgh's won 5 of the last 6 head-to-head versus San Jose. San Jose 2 years ago against this team did beat them 6-4 here in Pittsburgh. So when I look at this here, I think just way overpriced again are the Pittsburgh Penguins. So San Jose for me, little team total over as well. I'm going to split it up. San Jose team total over, which you can get at a very reasonable price, minus 115 just for the Sharks over 2.5. Sharks money line around plus 180, and probably an over by factor 2. But I'm more liking the Sharks looks here in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Sharks Penguins.
Yeah, I'm gonna add that team total. He said minus 115 for just 2.5. That's a good price. But I'm on that Sharks money line as well, plus 180. Grabbed that this morning, and like I said at the beginning of the show, this Pittsburgh team's in trouble right now. This is certainly not a team that should be laying, like I said, $2 to anyone in this league right now at the moment. So definitely taking a shot at the Sharks because they've been live in every game on this road trip. And this is really the easiest opponent they've had. They're actually taking a step down in class, like as you mentioned, hanging around against the New Jerseys and the New York Rangers of the world. So I like the Sharks here at a big plus price.
Yeah, I think Kyle Dubas is paying Johnny K in our chat to always talk highly about the Penguins. I mean, that's even in the YouTube comments. He's always talking highly about the Penguins, man. Hey, if minus 210 is your idea of value, God bless you. What do you think here, Ryan? San Jose and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so I'm big on San Jose. Pittsburgh obviously has been a dumpster fire, and there's on the second night of a back-to-back. San Jose has been kind of hanging around. They've been stingy. Something I like is I saw San Jose first period over half a goal is minus 115. I think I saw, or minus 125 in that range. So just need him to score a goal in the first period. I like that value. I saw someone in chat saying Crosby. I think Crosby's at 598 goals or 599 something. So might take a small shot on him to hit 600 at home tonight. He's a guy that team, he's a leader and the team needs him. So if they are going to bounce back, Crosby's going to need a big night. So that's not a bad look. But yeah, I think their money line at plus 180 is too good not to take a chance on. But I really like that. I really like him to score a goal in the first period. Pittsburgh gave up 6 to Dallas in the first period. They haven't been tight defensively. And then something else I like is Celebrini anytime goal. He's talked about when he was in college, Crosby's always been one of his favorite players. And this is the first time he's going to get to play against Sid, in Pittsburgh. So I think he's going to want to stick it to him. And, those young guys usually want to play well against their idols and have a good night. So I think that's another angle that I might sprinkle on is Celebrini anytime goal.
All right, Celebrini anytime goal. We'll see if he can find the back of the net here tonight in this game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like I said, it's pretty amazing that Pittsburgh, things have fallen the way they have here the last few games for them. But like I said, San Jose, I know they're San Jose, but again, this is a Pittsburgh Penguins team that is just not exactly having all kinds of problems defensively right now. So very interesting game there. Like I said, for Pittsburgh, Drew O'Connor's the one guy that played well last night. Drew O'Connor, if I'm going to bet anyone on the Penguins, other than Crosby, of course, because he's the one guy that does show up most games, it would probably be Drew O'Connor. His effort's been pretty solid. We're also seeing, by the way, this year, Letang, by the way, is day-to-day. He may not go tonight for the Penguins once again because he didn't play last night either. He's got an illness, so we'll see if he's in the lineup. But you're seeing why the Bruins dumped Matt Grzelcyk, or not dumped him, but they decided not to re-sign him. He has had a really tough year with Pittsburgh, not the defenseman he was in Boston. So that's the one good move the Bruins did. Bruins obviously have a weaker blue line, but it'd probably be even weaker if Grzelcyk was still on the team, playing the way he is this year for the Pittsburgh Penguins right now. All right, next up, we've got Winnipeg and Florida, certainly one of the games of the night. And Winnipeg, Florida will be one of our BetCast games on Tuesday night when those two teams go at it in the rematch in Winnipeg. Tonight they do battle in South Florida. Panthers minus 130, home favorites. The total in this game sitting at 6, shaded to the over. I've got a strategy for the home and home here with the Jets and the Panthers. What do we know about Winnipeg? Well, when they lost their first game of the year against Toronto, I thought maybe that's the bubble burst. Maybe that's Winnipeg going to go into a tailspin now, but they righted the ship. They bounced back. They played such a great game after that first loss. There was no emotional hangover to it, and then they ripped off another win streak after that first loss to Toronto. So we have evidence that Winnipeg doesn't let a loss linger. That was one I thought that could send them the other direction, that loss to Toronto, and sure enough, they win 7 in a row after that before finally dropping their second game of the season against Tampa Bay the other night. So we'll see how this one plays out, but as far as this game goes with Winnipeg and Florida, I'm taking Winnipeg tonight. They have yet to lose 2 in a row. Panthers are suddenly, I didn't like what I saw. They played worse against New Jersey in the second game, and they should have played better considering they lost the first game, and they actually played worse against the Devils the second game. They gave up 2 power play goals for a good penalty-killing team. That's not what I want to see, though, with Winnipeg coming to town, a phenomenal power play that they have. So my strategy is Winnipeg beats them tonight, plus 110, and if the Jets win tonight, and if I cash with the Jets, we're going to come back with Florida on Tuesday night when they go to Winnipeg and bring Paul Maurice back to town to peg to his own stomping grounds. So, like I said, that's the strategy. It's not easy going against Florida in a spot where they've lost 2 in a row, both of them to the Devils, but I like Winnipeg tonight. I like the price tonight. Hellebuck will be back in net. Remember, that was an Eric Comrie game Thursday night against Tampa Bay. So that's what I'm going to look for. Give me Winnipeg tonight, and absolutely if Winnipeg wins tonight, we're going to be on Florida in the return match in Winnipeg because it's a win-1 for the Gipper night when they get back to Winnipeg. Paul Maurice going back there. Let's get the job done there when they play in Winnipeg on Tuesday. What do you think here, Alex? Jets, Panthers?
Yeah, I think this is the last call for getting on Winnipeg before the regression hits. I'm right there with you. I grabbed Winnipeg. I got plus 115 earlier today. And I think heading into this, like you said, this home and home spot is going to be tricky for them. And then when they get out of that, keep in mind, throughout this whole stretch of them winning, they have yet to play a back-to-back. They start a 6-game road trip with a back-to-back set at Pittsburgh and at Nashville after that Florida game on Tuesday night. So I think there will be some chances to fade the Jets moving forward, but I think this is the last chance for a while to back the Jets. So I'm right there with you on Jets money line.
Yeah, Jets money, and look, they've beaten Florida 4 straight times, so that is definitely something to see. I hope Bailey's saying that Hellebuck was not on the ice for the morning. I'm trying to get You're right; he hasn't been confirmed yet. So he's in. He's in, just confirmed. Yeah, he's in.
Okay.
Connor Hellebuck. So yeah, I expected him to be in. So yeah, it's a go. It's a green light with Winnipeg for me in this one. They've beaten Florida 4 straight times as well, so they've really had the run of it here the last 4 head-to-head meetings. Like I said, I've just got a game plan in mind. Winnipeg tonight. We're going to get a good price with Florida because you always get a better price when the team is on the road as opposed to at home. And then we back the Panthers Tuesday night during our live betcast. That's the plan. Hopefully the plan comes to fruition as I hope it will. Ryan, what do you think here, Winnipeg, Florida?
Yeah, I'm going to go against you guys for once. I kind of Florida didn't do me a favor last time, but I'm going to give them one more chance. I think they've lost 2 in a row. They're still at home. It's a great test for them. Winnipeg 15-2. It's going to be a battle of 2 potential Stanley Cup contenders, and so I think Florida knows the importance of it. They haven't been great their last 2 games, so I'm going to give them one more chance to come out strong. I looked at the 60-minute line, but I could see the draw hitting as well. So just to be safer, I like Florida's money line. Got it at minus 140, and then also small sprinkle on Panthers first period puck line minus half a goal. I see it at plus 160. They want to have a fast start. They want to come out hot and start off strong in the first period against a great team. So I like Florida in this spot. If they lose, I'll stay off them for a bit, but I'm going to give them one more chance.
All right, there you go. You said that a few times. Give me one more. He's notorious BIG-ing this game here. One more chance for Ryan Robinson with the Florida Panthers here. Yeah, this could be. This would be pretty. Again, if it's Jets-Panthers Stanley Cup final, the emotions that Paul Maurice would feel, he would want badly to win a second straight Stanley Cup, but he'd have to do it against a team that he just pledged in his post-game interview after winning the Cup last year. If not us, I'd want it to be Winnipeg. So that would be an interesting emotional cauldron that Paul Maurice would be in if it were to be a Jets-Panthers Stanley Cup final this year. I'm going to look at the over by Fecta a little bit now. I've talked myself into it because I'm also looking at head-to-heads where we've got a lot of first-period overs in particular head-to-head in the recent meetings between the Jets and the Panthers as well. So we did see first-period over with the New Jersey game the other night. So I like the first period over more than the full game. So it's going to be by Fecta, but slanted with more on the first period over than the full game. But I'm going to get involved in that as well, in addition to Winnipeg here in this game. All right, next up, as we continue along, we've got New Jersey and Tampa Bay. Not a surprise, New Jersey's in Tampa after being in Florida 2 games in a row. Usually teams play the Panthers and the Lightning back-to-back on the road in Florida. We've got the Devils, minus 115, road favorites, 6 being the total here in this game. Give me the Lightning here. Give me those lightning bolts. I like this, how this sets up for them here. They just went through the abyss. They went through the dark times and that bad road trip where they were losing multiple games in a row. They get back home. They just handed Winnipeg only their 2nd loss of the year. Vasilevsky was very good in net. You get a little momentum, positivity. The week off that they had prior to that Winnipeg game, I think, did them very well. And now you got New Jersey entering in off a couple of feel-good performances and wins in a row against the Florida Panthers, sweeping that series and those 2 games down in Florida. Plus, it's been ownage by the Tampa Bay Lightning, 8-1 in their last 9 meetings against the New Jersey Devils as well. So I like how this sets up. Maybe New Jersey coming down a bit after the 2 wins against Florida. Tampa shouldn't just be satisfied beating Winnipeg because they had a bad run on that road trip, rested, and this is where the rest kicks in. You hadn't played in a week. Maybe you were a little rusty at times early in the Winnipeg game, but now you have that rest, and now it's only your second game after having a week off. So there should be plenty of energy in this Lightning team here tonight. So I like Tampa Bay in this spot, in this situation. Certainly the price is good. You don't get Tampa Bay, believe it or not, slight home underdogs at Amalie Arena very often. So, yeah, I'll go Tampa here, minus 105. Alex, what do you think? Devils, Lightning.
There's a player prop that I'm circling and looking at as a potential bargain bin, but other than that, this is a pass. So big card, a lot of other things that I like on the board as far as sides and totals go. So, like I said, it's between one player here and then another game for my bargain bin. So I'll determine that as we get to that segment.
Strength on strength, too, as far as home versus road splits, where you have Devils have been weak at home. Lightning have been worse on the road, which is very much like it was last year for them. And then it's strength versus strength. Devils have been a great 8-3 on the road, but the Lightning are 5-1-1 at home. So something's got to give here in this one. Now, what do you think here, Ryan? Devils, Lightning.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ian. 5-1-1 at home. Minus 105, I think, is good value. That rest, as you mentioned, when you get a week off, usually that first game they're a little slow. It takes you time to get into it, but that second, third, even the fourth game back, you take advantage of that rest and it kicks in a little bit more. So I like Tampa Bay minus 105 here. That's my only play on this game in terms of sides and totals.
There. As far as props, there are a few. We got to rock with Stefan Nason right now, and I'm not saying that because there's a Robinson on the show. This guy's been unbelievable. Scored again against Florida the other night. He's getting that opportunity. Sheldon Keefe is rewarding him for his production that we have seen from him so far this year. He's playing up the lineup, taking advantage of the opportunity as well. So, yeah, we got to keep rocking with the man from Plano, Texas. And he's playing with Hischier and Meyer on that top line, and he's been a very good fit there. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. With Stefan Nason for the Devils, worth a look here. And Jesper Bratt's been on fire. There's no question. Paul Cotter, sneaky under the radar, and he scored the other night. There's some good value there with some of those Devils players. For Tampa Bay, Hagel, Cirelli with Kucherov are worth a look. Nick Paul. We'll see who's going to be with Jake Gensel on the right side of that second line. But Nick Paul will be, so he's probably worth a look. It was Mitchell Chaffee, but it looks like they might be. Now, here's a situation. Alex talked about Stetcher maybe going from defense to forward for Edmonton. I'm seeing that maybe Darren Radish is going to go from defense to forward on that second line for Tampa Bay here tonight. So if Darren Radish is playing second line, like Gensel's a great playmaker, he could skate ass backwards into a goal tonight, Darren Radish, and he's 12-1, to score a goal tonight. So keep an eye on these lineup situations. If Darren Radish is up there, he's 12-1 to score a goal right now. He could be playing with Jake Gensel tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So interesting to see how that plays out. All right, next up, we've got, as we continue along here on this massive Saturday slate, I believe that's it for the early evening games. I think most of the games coming up, we have one more in the early evening. We've got Ottawa and Carolina. The Hurricanes minus 170, home favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. Carolina, this was a pretty long road trip that they have just completed. For the most part, a very successful one, even though they got goalied in the last game of that road trip by Karel Vejmelka for the Utah Hockey Club. But certainly they played well enough to win that game. But a dubious little spot here because of how long they have been on the road during this stretch. We'll see if they can come back down here after the 3 games in Colorado, Vegas, and Utah. Ottawa, that was just a gut punch of a loss to Philadelphia. They had a 4-2 lead. They lose 5-4 in overtime, as we talked about. Linus Ullmark was not happy in the postgame, saying, I need to be better than that. Wasn't good enough. Snapped his goal stick in frustration after giving up the Mishkov goal in overtime. It's looking like Ullmark is going to get the start here, not confirmed yet, but I'm seeing maybe Spencer Martin here for the Carolina Hurricanes tonight, that he might get the nod. They need to give they need to give Kochetkov a rest. Kochetkov's looks like injured again. Is it an injury or is it an illness? Undisclosed. May not be available tonight against the Ottawa Senators. horrible timing because Freddie Anderson's already out with the lower body injury. Even if Kochetkov plays, they might just say, you know what, we play St. Louis tomorrow, back-to-back. Just give him a little more time to be ready and start him tomorrow night against the St. Louis Blues. So I think Ottawa could be sneaky live dog here, quite honestly. They get Carolina off the road trip. They get Allmark in a bad mood off a subpar game by his standards. Maybe Spencer Martin in net instead of Kochetkov, who is potentially out tonight and maybe saved for the St. Louis game tomorrow when they host the Blues at 5 p.m. on Sunday Eastern time. So if it's Spencer Martin and then if it's Allmark, as I expect, was pissed about the way that Philly game ended, I'm thinking Ottawa here, plus 150. They are live. What do you think here, Alex? Sens Hurricanes.
I'm seeing that it is confirmed on goalie post that it will be Martin starting for this game. So I am on Ottawa. I already bet that earlier. I actually got plus 152. So now we're seeing to 145, 150, anywhere in that range. I think Ottawa's live here. They said it's a tough road trip for Carolina to come off of. Now, granted, Carolina had a long road trip. And they came home and they were able to weather the storm just fine. But I think this one's a little bit different, like I said, with the third string goalie in Martin. And Ottawa, like I said, Allmark looking to have a good bounce back game. So give me Ottawa as a dog here on the road.
Yeah, I think so, and especially again with Spencer Martin being in net for Carolina. I didn't love his game against Colorado, that's for sure. When they played the now Avs are obviously can be potent team, but it wasn't a great performance from Spencer Martin. And again, we'll see if he can play better. But certainly, you have to give Allmark the edge without a doubt. And like I said, Ottawa's not going to be thrilled about blowing that 4-2 lead. They've been pretty solid on the road lately. Not as good early in the season, but you go to Boston, you win in overtime, you beat Toronto, and you shut out the Leafs 3-0. That was probably their best game they've played all year, on the road as an underdog against the Leafs. Best game of the year. I think we're going to see something like that from Ottawa tonight. Really focused on the road, a very good team, just like when they played Toronto. And they're capable of getting the job done on any given night when that's the case. And certainly now the goaltending battle is in their favor, with the matchup projected to be Allmark versus Martin. What do you think here, Ryan? Ottawa, Carolina?
Yeah, I like Ottawa in this spot, especially with Martin playing for Carolina. So I'm going to take a small chance on them. Something else I don't do a lot unless I like the circumstance or situation. I might take a small chance on Allmark's save over prop, just because he was obviously, as you mentioned, he wasn't pleased with that last goal and last game. So he's going to be looking to come out, have a good start, shut out Carolina early. So I might take a small chance. I'm not seeing it on DraftKings yet. I see Martin's is at over 26.5. I'm not touching that, but when Allmark's does come out, I'm going to take a look at that and see if there's any value there.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Josh Norris is on fire. Josh Norris is the guy to go roll with right now. Ridley Gregg, there's value, and I think there's value on Adam Gaudette, who can always sneak up and score on any given occasion with what he's been able to do this year. But right now, Josh Norris, goals in 3 straight games. Got to rock with prop involving him for sure. For Carolina, it's the same cast of characters. I think Eric Robinson, I think Martin Nuke, I think Jack Roslovic. All of those guys are value right now, in my opinion, for this Carolina team as far as goal props. Good stuff. I like the Ottawa team total as well. Yeah, go ahead, Alex. Yep.
Oh, just a note with Carolina and mentioned with Kochetkov, he may not even play tomorrow because Yana Peretz was recalled from the AHL from Chicago. So so there's the possibility that he may get the start tomorrow. So that's something else to keep an eye on. So even with looking at what happens with this game, so that's something to keep a note too. Say Martin has a bad start, gets pulled, more likely going to be Peretz that's going to be the backup potentially. And so that's something to keep an eye on as well. What happens over tonight and tomorrow with the goalies.
And Yaniv Peretz, if you look at the numbers down in the American Hockey League for him, not great with Chicago this year. 3.25 goals against, sub 900 save percentage. Not great by any stretch of the imagination. So you got to wonder, is he NHL ready? It doesn't seem to be, based on the way he's played down there, which means they got to throw him in it. They might have no choice if both Anderson and Kochetkov are unavailable tomorrow, and they may not want to start Spencer Martin back-to-back game, or maybe they will. Who knows? Maybe they may give Martin back-to-back starts, but we'll definitely cross that bridge tomorrow on the Sunday show. as far as that St. Louis Carolina game is concerned, and where the Hurricanes end up going with their goaltending situation there. All right, we got 3 games left, Detroit and Los Angeles. We've got the Kings minus 190, home favorites. The total 5.5, shaded to the over here in this game. That was a very tough loss last night for the Red Wings, losing 6-4 to Anaheim. They'll be looking to bounce back here. They saved Cam Talbot for this game against LA, his former team, which I guess, yeah, it makes sense. You're always going to want to put your starting goaltender anytime you can against one of your former teams. And that's certainly going to be the case here against the LA Kings. Kings, of course, have played. I'll give the Kings credit because kind of had the arrow pointing down on them. Wasn't exactly enamored with their direction of their team or their prognosis for the upcoming season. But, they played solid, better than expected. That being said, started to trend down just a little bit. They've lost 3 of their last 4 against Vancouver, Calgary, and Colorado. The only win was against the worst team in the bunch, Columbus. Not exactly something you want to see, 5-2 in that game. We will see how the Kings respond here back home after the mini 2-game road trip against Calgary and Colorado. I'm sprinkling Detroit first period and full game. I'm pulling a shocker here. I know they blew it last night against Anaheim, but this feels like Red Wings pissed off about seeing that slip away last night. This is a big price on an LA team that's not in the absolute best form the last few games. And it's a Detroit team that has actually beaten LA 2 times in a row. Last year, both meetings went to the Red Wings, a 5-3 home win and a big underdog win in LA, 4-3 in a shootout. They were about a plus 160 underdog in that game. So at the back-to-back is obviously a disadvantage, but this is no travel or little travel. You don't have any air travel. You're in the same hotel when you go from playing in Anaheim to LA. So it's not a big-time tough spot for a back-to-back. The normal tough spot it would be for a back-to-back. It just isn't for Detroit. Stay in the same hotel. It's just a little trip down the highway to go from Anaheim to LA. So I'm going to go ahead with first period and full game money line. And the reason why I'm splitting this up is because sometimes in the back-to-back, I've talked about this. First period, you got your legs, and sometimes second and the third, you don't have your legs nearly as much. So I definitely want to split this Detroit bet between the first period and the full game. Alex, what do you think here? Red Wings, Kings.
Yeah, I'm just going with the full game over 5.5. I grabbed minus 112 earlier today. We've seen that move now. Minus 120, minus 125 floating around. I still like it up to minus 120. 25 or higher. I would say wait and grab it in game, of course, at a cheaper price. But I think we do see goals here back and forth. Even with Talbot going against one of his many old clubs, I don't think that's going to matter too much. I think we get goals going both ways. And as you mentioned, with both of the meetings last year, each of them going over that total, certainly over the total number of 5.5. So give me goals here with the over.
There you go. And a good stat from the Chris Otto totals charts from Terry Ray Vegas, 15-1 third period over run for the LA Kings. But again, you're going to have to wait to get a good price in that, probably in period, than as opposed to betting it pre. Yeah, John, that's true, John Massey. You're right. It could take 2-3 hours with the traffic you sometimes get. I'm hoping not, but the bottom line is still it's a better, easier, digestible trip, Anaheim to LA on these back-to-backs and vice versa than it would be in other situations where you have to fly through the air. So it's not a terrible back-to-back situation here for Detroit. What do you think here in this one, Ryan? Detroit, LA.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of with Alex. I like LA 60-minute line minus 120. I also like that over 5.5. I think that's low for these teams. I think we can see some goals, hopefully often and early. Looking at, I might take a small shot on LaFerriere to score a goal anytime. He's been a little quiet lately, so just a guy I like to sprinkle on anytime I'm on the show. But other than that, I like the over 5.5, and I do like the Kings 60-minute line.
Yeah, okay. LA in regulation there for Ryan with this game between the Red Wings and the Kings. Should be interesting. Talbot, like I said, no, I'm banking on a good game for Talbot. That's simple as that because of the fact that, this is his old team. You always want to play well. And he actually has been marginally better lately. And certainly better than what I saw from Alex Lyon last night. That was not one of Alex Lyon's better nights last night for the Detroit Red Wings. So David Riddick, by the way, remember Kemper got injured in the last game and left the game. He just took himself right out of the game. You could tell he was in pain right away. He just took himself out of the game right away against Colorado the other night in the third period. And David Riddick had to take over. So David Riddick is expected probably to be the starter. I think they might give Darcy Kemper another couple of days to get well again for the LA Kings. So we're expecting David Riddick here tonight in net for that. I'm going back to the well with Berggren. He's not going to be my bargain bin on the show today, but damn right I'm betting him again to score maybe in his third straight game and see if he can light the lamp one more time. Maybe Lucas Raymond worth a look too, because he finally found the back of the net. He's been struggling, and sometimes all you need to see is one go in to kind of get you going and keep you from gripping the stick too much. And then for LA, you mentioned it, Ryan, that shake that Laffy Taffy, Alex Laferriere is probably worth a look. You know, he's definitely one of those players that's been a bright light. Fogel, I think there's always value with him down on the third line as well. So there's a couple that I would maybe look at on the LA side of things. All right, next up, as we continue along, we've got Dallas and Minnesota. Dallas minus 145 road favorites in this game. The total 6 shaded to the over pretty much across the board. You look at this matchup, and Dallas has clearly found their offense again, and that's putting it mildly in the last 2 games. Back-to-back games for the Dallas Stars where they explode on the scoreboard for 7 in impressive fashion against both the Penguins and the Bruins, 7-1, 7-2 victories. We figured it would be a matter of time before they get going because we said coming into the year, this is as deep a group as they've had as far as forwards are concerned and 4 lines of depth. So when I look at this situation here coming into this game, they're feeling it offensively. I think in this spot, I've been riding the Dallas team totals now, including the Boston game. Now, it's not going to be as easy here going into Minnesota, playing a Wild team that's getting good goaltending from Philip Gustafsson. Jake Ottinger, by the way, confirmed for Dallas. Gustafsson for Minnesota tonight in this game. He's given up 2 goals or less in 3 straight starts for the Minnesota Wild. But Dallas is heating up, and we know this team was supposed to be a good offensive team. They're starting to finally show it here the last couple of games. Now, Boston and Pittsburgh aren't the defensive team. Minnesota is, but I'm going to ride it one more time. I don't like it as much tonight as I did the last game in particular, where I really liked the Stars team total. It was almost going to be my best bet Thursday night, the Dallas team total against Boston. But I still like it enough to bet it here over 3.5, plus 116. Stars team total over. You know, maybe now the floodgates are opening now for them just a little bit as far as goals, now that they've gotten these back-to-back games with 7. And the fact that, look, when you look at what's been carrying them, it's been this amazing line with Duchesne, Seguin, and Marchment. And they have been really outstanding lately for this Dallas Stars team. So just riding the same bet that I had, obviously, on Thursday, and that's Dallas team total over 3.5 at around plus 116 in this matchup. I definitely prefer that than laying the minus 145 on the money line. I don't like that price with Dallas on the money line, but team total is the preferred route here for me in this game. And they have definitely dominated proceedings over the Minnesota Wild over the years. No question about that. 7-3 in the last 10 meetings, 6 straight victories head-to-head for the Dallas Stars over the Minnesota Wild. And in the last 5 of those 6 victories for Dallas over Minnesota, 4-4, 8-4-7. Okay, they've gotten to 4 goals in all 5 consecutive victories over the Minnesota Wild. So that's another thing that veered me toward the Dallas team total here in this one. Ryan, your team in action tonight, Dallas taking on Minnesota.
Yeah, there's a few things I like here. I know Zuccarello got injured last night for the Wild. They're also missing Brodin and probably Eriksson Ek today. So they're missing a couple key forwards. You said 6 straight wins for the Stars against the Wild. Dallas was 3-0 against them last year. A couple of days ago, I might have been hesitant. I might have leaned more towards the Wild, I think, honestly. But because Dallas, their offense has kind of woken up, it's given some hope. It doesn't mean they're going to score 7 goals. But given those guys confidence, Wyatt scored, Hintz and Robertson got on the score sheet. So definitely makes me feel like they're starting to wake up and those big boys are getting a little bit of confidence. So I like their 60-minute line plus 115. I do like Sagan, Marchment, Duchesne again. I'm not going to, parlay that. I'm going to take them all individually. Don't want to waste all the magic with that. But those three have been their hottest lines, so those point props are always good value. Something else I like, Robertson finally got an assist last game. He didn't have a point in 5 games. I think he has 17 points in 10 career games against the Wild, so it's definitely a team that he likes to play against. He always seems to find the score sheet. So I like Robertson point also because he's been off to a slow start. I'm seeing it at -1, -115, -120 range, which is good value for a guy who, can put up points. So Robertson, anytime point, and then Marchment, Duchesne, Sagan separately, and stars in regulation for me. I also I do like their team total. I might sprinkle it with you. The Wild haven't given up as many goals lately. They've been, pretty solid defensively, but with Dallas finding their stride offensively, I think could be a good spot for Dallas to jump out early and not look back, especially missing, Dallas has to take advantage of the Wild missing a couple top 6 forwards in Zuccarello and Eriksson Ek. So I like Dallas here. I think it's a good spot for them, and I'll be on them with those props.
All right, there we go. And by the way, they won the game and they shut out Montreal Thursday night, Minnesota, but they did take some hits from an injury standpoint. Matt Zuccarello and Joel Eriksson Ek both leaving that game due to injury, and they're both out for tonight. So there is some shuffling going on for John Hines and the Wild up front, which means it opens the door for some value. Johansson's going to play with Boldy and Kaprizov, and Liam Ogren is going to get the shot with Gaudreau and Hartman on the second line tonight for the Minnesota Wild. So, like I said, little line juggling, a little blender work being done because of these injuries. And those are 2 top 6 forwards now out for the Wild, with Zuccarello and Joel Eriksson Ek missing for this game here tonight. Alex, what do you think? Dallas, Minnesota.
Yeah, I took a sprinkle with the draw here. I know Dallas has dominated the Wild over the recent years, especially playing here at XL Energy Center down the street. But I think this is, like I said, this is a Wild team that they've been formidable throughout the year thus far. I think this is going to be kind of a solid back and forth game. So even that 3.5 is a little tricky. I can see where if Gustafsson has a good game, this could be one of those games that's tied at 3. Heading into overtime. So just rolling with the draw here. Nothing on sides, nothing in game, not really like in the first period over either. And except the goals may be a little difficult to come back, but definitely think this one takes a little longer to get done. So.
All right, good stuff. All right, final game of the night: Chicago Blackhawks, Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver -260 home favorites. 5.5. Sorry, the total in this game. And yes, it is Connor Bedard, the Vancouver kid, playing in front of family, friends, his parents, I'm sure, are going to be there. A lot of the Bedard clan will be there, family, friends, you name it. You would expect the game to be the one where Connor Bedard's going to, and maybe this is what he needs, because he has been in a slump. He's been in a funk the last little bit, no question. He's starting to get asked about it as well locally by the media. But if there's ever a time to bust out of it, it could be tonight when you got family and friends in attendance playing at home. So definitely I'm interested in Bedard props, goal prop, assist prop, maybe even an over 1.5 points. Something along those lines as far as Connor Bedard's concerned here in this game, no question. As far as this game goes, though, from a side perspective, Vancouver's the better team, and I trust the better team, not the weaker team, to bounce back. But both teams are pissed. Both teams are really upset with their last game. Chicago's not happy with the performance and the lack of generation of shots and chances, and they didn't have the puck a ton in the last game. They end up losing, of course, to the Seattle Kraken in that game. They weren't happy with their performance at all. I think when you look at it from a Chicago standpoint, with Nick Foligno, the captain, says something about it, you'd expect a response, particularly early in the game, but you damn well should expect a response from Vancouver, because they just laid a dud, as Rick Tocchet called it, at home against the Islanders, and said, hey, we got to start playing better at home. We would expect that here in this game from Vancouver. So I'd expect an aggressive start, and 2 teams that really want to bounce back strong. Obviously, I trust Vancouver to win the game because they're just simply, are the better team right now. But Chicago, I think, is going to bring a strong effort, a hard effort early. Vancouver, I expect, will as well. So rather than a side, I mean, it's just so pricey with Vancouver. And have they been good enough at home consistently to, even in a bounce back spot, warrant them at -260? I'm not so sure. But I like the over trifecta here. I like the over trifecta here quite a bit. Over 1.5 first period, over 5.5, which is a cheap price here. And especially I like both teams to score in the first period. This is a spot that makes a ton of sense to me. And actually, if you had both teams to score first period, St. Louis, Boston, you just cashed. Well done, John Massey, because I know he liked it. Same thing there. St. Louis off a frustrating loss in overtime to Buffalo. They blew a lead. Boston gets absolutely destroyed by Dallas. And look, both teams come out aggressive here, and it's 1-1 first period there. Same thing here. Chicago's not happy, pissed. Captain calls them out a little bit after the Seattle game. And Rick Tocchet calls out Vancouver after the New York Islanders game. And I think both teams come out strong and both have a chance to get on that scoreboard in the opening 20 minutes. So I really like the angle of that first period, both teams to score here tonight with Chicago and Vancouver. Two angry teams taking the ice. What do you think here, Alex? Chicago, Vancouver.
Yeah, I definitely love the over bifecta with a heavy emphasis on that first period over 1.5. You can get now $1.12 at FanDuel. I definitely think we get goals here early, but like I said, Vancouver is the better team, and the fact that they're pissed off, yeah, we might see a goal come from the Hawks, but who's to say we don't see 2 or 3 coming from Vancouver? So I definitely loving the first period over, but both teams score them a little bit. Not loving that as much as you are, even though at a plus 190, plus 192, that's a decent price for it. I will grab some over 5.5 minus $1.20 as well. These over 5.5s, I don't think they'll be floating around too often. If we can cash all of them over tonight, we may not see too many of them hanging around tomorrow or moving forward. So this definitely could be a game that goes back and forth. And like I said, Vancouver, it's a matter of, do they get everything rolling in the complete sense, or do they just get their offense rolling but still have some issues in goal? Shelovs has looked a little bit, rusty. He hasn't looked anything like the goalie we saw in that playoff performance early in the spring in the couple of games that he's had. So, maybe the Hawks have some chances. And it was leaning to be my bargain bin, but it won't be my bargain bin because I already did use it about a week and a half ago, or at least within the week. Connor Bedard over 1.5 points is plus 350. So still within bargain bin range. I will have money on that, but that is not my bargain bin play. So that's one I will have on. He should, he said, show out his first time back at home. Remember, he was injured the last time the Hawks had those games in Vancouver.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely an opportunity for him to put a good foot showing here, good foot forward. And I think it's perfect time to get him back going again offensively. Because, yeah, it has been a slump for him by his standards, no doubt. But what better time to maybe snap out of it than playing close to home like he will be here tonight, Connor Bedard for Chicago. All right, what do you think here in this one, Ryan, Chicago, Vancouver?
Yeah, I'm pretty much staying off this game other than those Bedard props. The shot on goal, point, goal, assist, everything. I think him coming home, he's going to want to have a big night. So I look to him to kind of, get that offense going and, have a big night, find the score sheet a couple times, whatever it might be, goals, assists. So I'm big on Bedard here. I'm going to take a shot on, all of his props. Shot on goal over 3.5, goal, assist, anytime. So I'll be big on him, but that's pretty much it for me in this game.
I'm seeing that apparently Forsberg might start for Ottawa tonight. I'm sticking with Ottawa. He's actually played better lately at Forsberg. If you look at some of his recents, he's been a little bit better than he was early in the season. Statistically, Forsberg's off to the best start he's had in 3 years. His numbers aren't spectacular, but they're sure a lot better than they've been at times in the past. I'm still willing to do the Ottawa money line, Ottawa team total over split, but I might add a little full game over.
And it's not confirmed. They won't. I'm reading the quote now from Goalie Post. Travis Green will not announce his starting goaltender until game time. But with that in mind, Anton Forsberg is 3-3 lifetime against the Canes and won his last 2 starts in Carolina. So that is from the tweet.
All right, there you go. So could be one of those deals where now I'm pissed off. I'm stayed off this Blues-Bruins game. I leaned Blues. I leaned for the overs. I leaned to draw, and we're in great shape to start that game with all those bets. So hopefully someone listened to me and bet it, even though I didn't. So, well, there's a lot of other opportunities coming up here on the Saturday slate, as we've talked about here over the last 90 minutes or so. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. First period, both teams to score. Don't mind that with Ottawa, Carolina either now with the news that we're dealing with Martin versus Forsberg suddenly in between the pipes. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, $10 per month. That is where you'll find everything that I'm on throughout the rest of the day. Alex as well, and our guests as far as the rest of the Saturday card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day. Our betting card on the Patreon page, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, and bonus content, plus exclusive live betcasts for Patreon members only coming up later in the season as well. So make sure you check that out. Again, patreon.com/iceguys, $10 per month. And again, your subscription to the Patreon page goes a long way to supporting the show. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
Yeah, also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got everything in stock right now, all jackets, caps, hoodies, mugs, t-shirts, everything you can name, we got it right now at the Ice Guys store. So check that on out at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
2-1 Bruins. I hate to be the bearer of bad news there for Aaron. He was hoping it would stay 1-1 in this first period, and it looks like Bruins just went ahead 2-1. So, although I think they might be reviewing this goal, they might be. So fingers crossed, but we'll see how that plays out. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see. No, it's a good goal. Yep, 2-1. 2-1 Boston. They've got the lead now against St. Louis. 3 goals already in that game. And like I said, sloppy shit with two teams kind of struggling right now between the Blues and Bruins early on. All right, we've got, and by the way, before we get to our ads, we want to remind you, of course, Tuesday night is the big night, live betcast. Tuesday night, November 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's a great card. It's Florida-Winnipeg, the rematch in the Peg between the Jets and the Panthers, highlighting it, but a lot of other good games coming up as well on Tuesday night. We got a nice little staggered schedule where it's going to be, we're not inundated and bombarded with games all at once, which is really nice about the slate and the schedule, the way it lines up for Tuesday night. So looking forward to that Tuesday, November 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And again, looking forward to the live betcast. And again, if you want in on the betcast, you DM me or Alex or email us, and we will send you the link for the betcast before it begins. And get your drinks ready as well. Alex and I will sure have them ready.
You mean we don't have a super compressed schedule like tonight where we have 7 games all starting at once, and then we have a West Coast game starting at 8 o'clock Eastern?
I mean, just
Fucking
lunacy.
insane.
Lunacy.
Fucking
Why are we
insane.
playing Detroit, Los Angeles at 8 Eastern, 5 local time? Why?
Yeah.
Explain that. Why?
What, everybody got to rush and get to bed on a Saturday night so they can get up for early morning mass. Like, what the hell is going on with this league? Why can't we have late night games on a Saturday? I don't understand it.
Did Hockey Night in Canada request Bedard return to Vancouver? You know,
It's a
as
solo
like a
game.
standalone
That's
game. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Must
but
be.
yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But that's just crazy that you wouldn't put Detroit, LA in the 10 Eastern, 10:30 Eastern window as well. But we could go on about complaining about the NHL schedule makers and what they do throughout the course of the season. We'd be here all night, no doubt. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsman, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Sofa, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great Ice Guys sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc., our daily show sponsor and sponsor of the Betcast. 20% off using the promo code Ice Guys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, we got our bargain bin specials of the night for this Saturday card. We'll see if I can follow it up after Jonathan Berggren got it done for us last night for the Detroit Red Wings. Alex, what do you like tonight for the bargain bin special?
Let's skate down to the Sunshine State. We got Tampa Bay taking on New Jersey, and I'm looking at is listed on the FanDuel plus 370 Nicholas Paul. They always had listed his full name there, but Nick Paul, give me an anytime goal plus 370, skating on that second line, centering like I said with Gensel and potentially Darren Radish. So I think he might have the second best scoring touch on that line potentially outside of Gensel. But plus 370, I think that's a good look. So Nick Paul plus 370 anytime goal for the Tampa Bay Lightning. That Saturday bargain bin special.
All right, there we go. He's been on the bargain bin special for me multiple times in the past. Nick Paul, Tampa Bay Lightning, a bargain bin special for Alex B. Smith. I always meant to say this when I see his name in the chat. I'm finally going to remember to do it, and I'm going to do it right now. I didn't realize we had the head coach of Southern Illinois, formerly Wright State, in the chat here, Scott Nagy. Good stuff. Nice to see you there. But, we got a college basketball head coach right now tuning into the Ice Guys show. No, I'm kidding. Of course, it's not the same Scott Nagy, obviously, but yeah, I've been holding that one in the cupboard for a while. When I see Scott Nagy in the YouTube chat. But Ryan, what do you think here for bargain bin special tonight?
Yeah, I kind of went back and forth. I was between a few things. I really like that Bedard 2+ points. I think it's right in bargain bin range, plus 300, plus 310. And honestly, I wasn't going to go back to it, but I think I'm going to go back to that Marchment, Duchesne, Sagan parlay. Duchesne is their leading scorer. Sagan has over a point a game against Minnesota in his career. I think he's at 50 points in 45 games or something. And Marchment's been lights out. So until those guys, hit a slump or a bump in the road and, don't produce consistently every night, I'm going to have to take them again. I got it at plus 580 the other night. I actually see it at plus 600 today. So I'm just going to run it back with that same thing. I feel good about it. There's something that keeps drawing me back to that. So I'm going to take another chance on those three. They're on the power play together. They're on the same line. So I like that. Plus 600, Marchment, Duchesne, Sagan, anytime points again.
All right, there we go. Going, hey, cash for Ryan on Thursday against Boston. Each of them to get a point. They are smoking right now, that line of Sagan, Marchment, and Duchesne. And going back to the well one more time, Ryan with it for the bargain bin here tonight.
Can I just say something, too? When you're looking at with that look, you could actually go with – this would be a little bit more creative. May have to put in a little more work to get these bets in. But you could go with a bit of a round robin. Take each of those guys to score a goal, parlay with the other two to get an assist. And just round robin. So if any combination of goal and assists come in, then you're looking at cashing those prices. So that's something that you might want to look at when you have a hot line. Those are some options to attack it. So good find, Ryan, for sure with that look.
Yeah, I definitely like that idea. I'm seeing. I just played with one option. Sagan anytime goal with Marchment and Duchesne point is plus 1,000. So there's definitely value in those that I see. So I might take a smaller chance on those as well together.
All right, this is a good card for bargain bin worthy situations here. There's a lot that really looks solid here for tonight in this in the card. I'm gonna go with two again. I usually like to just go with one, but these are two that are dead heat for my favorite bargain bin look. We're going to go with one game from the early game, the lone remaining afternoon game, Islanders and Kraken. Give me Andre Burakovsky up on the top line for the Seattle Kraken, taking the spot of Jordan Eberle, who's out due to injury. And we can get Andre Burakovsky playing with Beniers and McCann on that top line, and we can get him at plus 480 to score a goal. So excellent price. Andre Burakovsky for the Seattle Kraken. That's my first bargain bin special. My other one is going to be from Edmonton, Toronto. Corey Perry, man. Scory Perry turns into against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it looks like he might be on the second line. There's this controversy with him and Stetcher, who's going to play on that second line. But either way, Perry scores against Toronto. It's crazy how often he makes an impact, whether he was with Tampa, whether he was with Montreal, you name it. And he's faced the Leafs. He's often scored a goal against them. And plus 590 for Corey Perry here tonight in this game. So there you go. There's a couple bargain bin specials for this Saturday slate. Burakovsky for Seattle, Corey Perry for the Edmonton Oilers. And I like Nick's because Paul Cotter's on my card as well. Birthday, and he's scoring for New Jersey, plus 550. That's a worthy consideration as well. But officially, we'll use Burakovsky and Perry for my bargain bin specials for tonight. All right, best bets, Alex. What do you like here for best bet?
Ooh, there's a lot to choose from, and I have a pretty heavy card today. But I'm just looking through. I'm going to go with the Winnipeg Jets. Get them plus 118. I think, like I said, to take care of Florida, this is a spot of two quality teams. And like I said, I think the decline for the Jets will be coming later. But as of right now, I think this is still a good spot to bet Winnipeg as a dog on the road. So give me Winnipeg plus 118. That is my Saturday best bet.
There you go, Winnipeg Jets. Woo, woo, woo. Jets. Winnipeg Jets plus 118 against Florida for Alex with his best bet. Ryan, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, I'm going to head to that Pittsburgh-San Jose game. I like San Jose to get one early in the first period. Pittsburgh's been struggling. They've been a dumpster fire defensively, haven't been great at home. San Jose's rested. And so, yeah, I'm going with San Jose Sharks first period team total over half a goal. I see it at minus 130. That's my best bet today.
Right, there we go. Best bet for Ryan Robinson here in this one. All right, for Saturday, we've got for my best bet for this Saturday slate. There's also a lot of different ways we can go with here for this game when it's all said and done. Let's go with those lightning bolts. I really like this. I like New Jersey coming down a little bit following the big win against the 2 wins they had against the Florida Panthers. And I like the momentum for Tampa coming off the week off. They weren't pleased with the way the road trip went. They answered the bell and they gave Winnipeg only their second loss of the season. I think they build on that momentum here tonight versus the New Jersey Devils. They have owned the New Jersey Devils as well over the years. Whether Point plays or not, I don't think he's going to play, but I still like Tampa in this spot, and I certainly like the price. We don't get Tampa around plus 100 on home ice very often. So Tampa Bay Lightning plus 100. We'll go with that for my best bet here for this Saturday NHL slate. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much.
Any UFC stuff?
Yeah, UFC. Anything you like, Alex? Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like Bo Nickel win by submission. I got Bo Nickel submission in the second round at plus 1200, and I like John Jones win by knockout. You can still get that around plus 110, plus 115. I can see him getting a quick knockout of Stipe.
All right, there we go. Looking forward to that great double main event. The co-main event and the main event are phenomenal on paper. In that UFC card tonight at Madison Square Garden, Oliveira and Chandler's a hell of a co-main event as well. So looking forward to that tonight. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith and Ryan Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We will be back with you tomorrow on Sunday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.